Two interesting cases have come up from two different high courts in the past week, where we can clearly see a stark distinction in approach when a man or a husband is allegedly having an extramarital affair versus a wife allegedly living in adultery. While each case has its own facts and evidences, it is intriguing to note the viewpoints expressed by judges in their respective cases. Now let's look at the first case. The Delhi High Court, in its order dated May 28, 2024, dismissed an appeal filed by a husband with regards to interim maintenance that had been granted by the family court to his estranged wife and minor daughter. While the husband had approached the Delhi High Court with certain photographs accusing his wife of living in adultery, the bench did not consider the same, suggesting that the same could have been manipulated. The petitioner husband in this case is a self-employed architect by profession, while the respondent wife is a postgraduate in mass communication, but currently she's unemployed. The divorce petition was initiated by the husband, and subsequently the wife had filed an application under Section 24 of the Hindu Marriage Act seeking an interim maintenance for Rs 2 lakh per month, which would provide for her and her child's expenses. Now, what did the family court order? As against the demand of Rs 2 lakh per month, the family court ordered the husband to pay Rs 75,000 per month towards the maintenance of the estranged wife along with the minor child, commencing from the date of the application. Now, not just this, but the family court has also allowed a yearly increase in maintenance at the rate of 7%, that is with effect from next April 2025. The husband had gone ahead and challenged this particular order in the High Court. Now, when the matter came in the High Court, the husband had come along with certain photographs which showed his estranged wife living in adultery. Besides this, the husband also claimed that his income was only around 40 to 41,000 per month. A bench of Justice Rajiv Shagder and Justice Amit Bansal, they looked at the photographs, but they chose not to rely on the same in the present maintenance case. While observing that these photographs could have been doctored, the bench said that they had looked at the photographs and it was not clear whether the respondent wife was the actual person in these photographs as alluded by her husband or the counsel for the husband. The bench also said that we may take judicial notice of the fact that we are living in an era of deepfakes, and therefore this is an aspect that the husband perhaps would have to prove by way of evidence before the family court. The High Court then stated that this petition for divorce was initiated by the husband, and this petition was currently pending before the family court. So therefore both the parties can go back to the family court and place their evidences on record, either in support or defense of their respective cases. With regards to the husband's submissions that he was earning only around 40 to 41,000 per month, the family court here had actually found discrepancies in the bank statement submitted by him versus the claims that he was making. Now, the Delhi High Court dismissed the husband's appeal, and they also observed that the charges of adultery were not a part of the family court judgment which had come on the maintenance. And thus, the Delhi High Court said that this particular appeal that had been filed by the husband was almost a measure of desperation to wriggle out of the obligation cast in the impugned judgment. While the husband was suggested to move the family court for review, presently the maintenance order was upheld. Now let's move on to the second case. In the next case, the Punjab and Haryana High Court was hearing an army officer's appeal after a family court had dismissed his divorce plea on grounds of cruelty by wife. In this particular case, while the husband had accused his wife of picking up quarrels, insulting him in front of his friends and relatives, even charges of like not serving tea to his relatives, the wife, on the other hand, had accused him of infidelity. Now, the wife had also brought certain love letters and photographs of the husband, and she has accused him of extramarital relations with a number of women, along with a complaint that she had submitted to the general officer commanding, post which an inquiry was also instituted against the husband. In his defense, the husband had denied the charges of extramarital affair, and he contended that it was him who was subjected to humiliation and harassment in the presence of the officers and his colleagues. And this is just, the wife was basically just putting these allegations to spoil his image and career, and this amounted to cruelty. The family court in this case had dismissed the husband's plea for divorce under the Hindu Marriage Act, and accordingly now he approached the High Court for relief. Now, when this matter came up in front of the Punjab and Haryana High Court, the bench of Justice Sudhir Singh and Justice Harish Banger, they agreed with the trial court and opined that the allegations which were raised by the husband were at the most just normal wear and tear of his married life. On charges of husband alleging cruelty by wife, the bench said that the respondent not serving tea to his relatives or friends or picking up quarrels with the husband on petty matters, it could not be concluded that these allegations were reason enough that the marriage should be dissolved on grounds of cruelty. The High Court in fact said that no importance needs to be attached to these kind of general and vague allegations, and these were nothing but just the normal wear and tear of a married life that a couple would undergo. Now, on charges of infidelity, the High Court observed that indeed there were a number of letters that were available on record in front of the court, which suggested that the husband was definitely interested in outsiders more than his own life. Now, during the trial, there was a photograph which was placed on record, and the husband was seen with another woman in an objectionable position. He had not denied that it was him in that photograph. Therefore, the High Court in this matter had concurred that the trial court was right in not granting divorce to the husband. And they also said that a Hindu wife cannot tolerate any other lady in the arms of her husband, and also that the husband himself was not sincere towards his wife. Thus, the High Court said that there was enough material and evidence on record that the husband was very much living an unethical life. Thus, granting him divorce in this situation would be kind of allowing him to take advantage of his own wrongs, and this would not really be in principle which is embodied in the Section 23(1) of the Hindu Marriage Act. Now, why have we picked up both these cases? Of course, these two cases are not identical in nature, but where we see in the second case, the husband is rightly reprimanded for his extramarital affairs. A wife, in the first case, who is allegedly living in adultery, is given the benefit of doubt. As we observe, the interim maintenance which is awarded to the wife is instantly by default, without any findings or the outcome in the main trial. Thanks to the pace of our Indian judicial system, it may take around 5 to 7 years for the trial court to actually come and pronounce the judgment in the divorce petition. And the pattern that we often see is once this maintenance meter starts, the wives stop coming up for arguments, they stop attending dates only to harass the husbands, or perhaps to just keep prolonging the case because they are not at a loss, they have been paid their maintenance per month, and the outcome of the actual case doesn't really matter to them. So what does this mean for those husbands? This means that without any charge being proven against the husband, he is liable to pay whatever maintenance has been awarded for a number of years without any refund, even if the judgment is not in his favor at a later date. Husbands are at loss either ways, whether they file for divorce or they don't file for divorce. In fact, this whole concept of interim maintenance is kind of a joke in India because, of course, the intent is good so that the real victims should not suffer. They should be given financial security. But what happens when a husband himself is going to court seeking for divorce on grounds of cruelty by wife? Even in this case, the husband is expected to pay interim maintenance to his wife, and whatever allegations that he makes, of cruelty, harassment, humiliation, violence, all those charges are kind of put on the back burner. And whatever supersedes is primarily the financial security of the wife, and all the other allegations would only be taken up during the trial. Now, the basic difference between interim maintenance provided in India versus abroad is, the pace of our judicial system, because there's no timeline or there's no definite end to that interim maintenance in India. And we've seen in multiple cases, the word interim can actually go on and on for 10 to 15 years. Thanks to these kind of laws, most men in India don't even have the courage to approach courts. They kind of choose to suffer in silence. They have kind of created a parallel world where they are cohabiting with the woman in the same house, and they will keep suffering the humiliation or the harassment or the torture, but they don't really approach courts to file for divorce. Now, whatever the law may be on paper, you will rarely come across judgments where adultery by wife has actually been proven. There have been instances where the husbands have even gone and submitted evidence during the trial, but the adulterous wives have been actually shielded on pretext of right to their privacy, and those evidences which have been given to the court have not really been accepted. On the other hand, when we were talking about the second instance where the husband was indulging in adultery, now this is a classic example where courts will be prompt to take shelter under, the culture and traditions, by making statements such as Hindu woman cannot see her husband with someone else, but a Hindu husband is expected to be tolerant even if his wife indulges in a relationship outside marriage. One can read the entire detailed 2018 judgment on decriminalization of adultery, where that time Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, who was one of the 5-member bench, in his ruling had observed that physicality is an individual choice, and the adultery law was actually based on the concept that a woman loses her individuality once she's married. Ideally, whichever spouse indulges in adultery during the subsistence of marriage should be made to compensate to the other, thereby allowing dignity for the other partner also to move on in his or her life. From these live cases at Indian courts, we can only conclude that whenever it comes to justice for wives, the legal system adopts a fairly progressive and a liberal approach. But when it comes to justice for husbands, we love lecturing them on what is Hindu culture, Sanskriti, traditions, and sanctity of marriage. I'm leaving both these cases for reference in the description link of this video, or you can read it on our website, voiceformenindia.com. You can follow us on our social media handles, which is Facebook, Instagram, Telegram, Twitter, which is now X. The ID is @voiceformenin. Do leave your comments as to what do you think of the existing matrimonial laws in India. And if you've come to our channel without subscribing to us, please do hit that bell icon, subscribe to Voice for Men India so that you can be updated as in how we broadcast our new video. That's it from me as of now. Thank you very much for watching. Namaste. Jai Hind.